We believe brain health is a human right. We believe it's a social and economic imperative. At ABI, we're democratizing global brain health by giving people access to the best minds and evidence-based information from around the world. Together, we are distilling complex science and turning it into actionable knowledge for everyone, everywhere. Will you join us?
And a continuing welcome all of you to Aspen Brain Institute's 2021 Expert Series. This week's guest, Dr. Wendy Suzuki, is professor of neuroscience and psychology at New York University. As a neuroscientist, she is best known for her work in neuroplasticity, studying brain areas important for memory, and also for her research defining the effects of physical activity on the human brain. For additional details of her prolific and most impressive set of credentials, I refer you to our website. Her new book, Good Anxiety: Understanding the Most Misunderstood Emotion, is set for publication by Simon & Schuster in September this year. Let us welcome Dr. Suzuki, who will astonish us with the astonishing effects of exercise on the brain in the time of COVID. Wendy.
Great. Thank you so much, Ronnie. It is such an honor and a privilege for me to be speaking here today for the Aspen Brain Institute. And as Ronnie said, I'm going to be telling you about the astonishing effects of exercise on the brain that is even more important in this time of COVID-19. So let me jump into my slides and let's get started here. All right, here we go. So my entire research career has focused on the idea of brain plasticity. And let me just close this. My entire research career has focused on the idea of brain plasticity. That means the brain can change. So just so we all start in on the same playing field, let me just define for you what brain plasticity is. Brain plasticity is the idea that anybody's brain that might need, a little improvement somehow. Maybe it looks like this. Certain experiences can change your brain from looking like this into a fully actualized brain with all the best brain areas, as you see on the right. However, brain plasticity works in both directions. So other experiences can change the fully self-actualized brain on the right back to the minuscule brain on the left. That is one of the most amazing functions that our human brain has. It is sculpted by our life. And I have been fascinated to understand how that works, and particularly the power of our topic today, physical activity, in shifting brain plasticity and shifting brain plasticity to that positive direction. So why is exercise so critical and such a wonderful way to exercise our brain plasticity? Here is the answer to that question. The two key brain areas that physical activity is going to affect are shown right here. This is a real preserved human brain that I'm holding in my hands. Her name is Betty. I think she is the most photographed brain in all of the East Coast. And I'm pointing out two key brain areas that are really affected by exercise. Number one, prefrontal cortex, you see right here, is right behind your forehead, critical for what we call executive functioning. It is the executor, it is the director of so many other cognitive areas. It helps us order our life. It helps with decision making. It helps with focus and attention, and something called working memory or scratch pad memory, that memory that allows you to keep things in mind. The second key area that exercise is important for is the hippocampus down here. The hippocampus is deep inside this lobe right here. Here's the temporal lobe, kind of behind your ear, approximately. The hippocampus is critical for our ability to learn and retain new long-term memories for facts and events. And so just to show you where that is, I've cut out the temporal lobe in this drawing so you can see the location of the hippocampus colored here deep in the temporal lobe. So these are the two areas that I will be focusing on, really telling you about what I consider the transformative effects of physical activity on the brain. Why do I call them transformative? There is a reason for that. I didn't always study the effects of exercise on the brain. I started out my career going backwards one, focused on this area right here, the hippocampus, for long-term memory. I was always fascinated with that ability to form new long-term memories that could last a lifetime. But something happened to shift me on to exercise, and it was a very personal kind of experience. I ended up gaining 25 pounds. Maybe some of you have experienced that, and didn't quite know how to lose that weight, but ended up going to a gym and ended up loving all the classes and taking a lot of classes and shifting my diet too. But over the course of a year and a half, I ended up losing that weight, and at the same time, really getting much more active in my regular physical activity. That really changed so many things in my life. My mood was changed. My writing seemed to be improved. My grant writing seemed to be improved. And when I went back to the science literature to try and figure out why I was seeing these effects, that is what I learned about the clinical findings showing the immediate, long-term, and protective effects of exercise on the brain. And I said, I need to study that in my own lab. So let me just describe for you these three major transformative effects of physical activity on the brain. The first one, the immediate effects, I like to describe first because it's the first one that I and many other people notice. So I'm going to ask you right now, just think about, have you ever noticed that when you go outside for a walk or you take a bike ride or do a good exercise class, does that have an effect on your mood? Are you happier? Do you feel less depressed, less anxious? The answer is yes. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Every single time you work out, there is release of a wide range of brain chemicals. And here I've shown you from the studies, the duration after the exercise has stopped, how long those brain chemicals remain higher in the brain. You might recognize these brain chemicals. Dopamine goes up 120 minutes, noradrenaline 80 minutes, serotonin 120 minutes, endorphins go up for at least 20 minutes. There are growth factors that are released after every single movement session that also stays up for 100 minutes. And exercise is a stress. It is a stress, and cortisol is there to help move that blood away from your digestive system and out to your muscles so you can move to get you ready for the physical stress of that physical activity. So that is part of what I like to call a neurochemical bubble bath of good neurochemicals that you get every single time you move your body. So what is the effect of that neurochemical bubble bath? Number one, your mood is elevated. Let me dig deeper into that. By mood is elevated, I mean that positive affect tends to go up. Negative affect, including depression and anxiety, tend to go down. And stress is also decreased by physical activity. Despite the fact that it increases your cortisol, that doesn't necessarily mean you feel stressed. It is helping your body respond, but stress levels, perceived stress levels, go down after even a single workout. Focus and attention that is dependent on that prefrontal cortex that I pointed out to you is increased after a single workout. And reaction time, motor reaction time, being able to respond to cognitive questions decreases after a single workout. So there are many brain changes that you can benefit from immediately after a single workout. And before you ask, how long, how much do I have to do? The minimum that has been studied to get a significant effect, particularly on mood levels, is just 10 minutes. 10 minutes of walking can get you significant decreases in depression, anxiety, and stress levels, which is something. Doesn't get you everything. Other studies that have looked at higher levels of activity, that's where you start to get more of the focus and attention and reaction time. But you start to see these effects with just 10 minutes of walking, which I love to emphasize because everybody can do it. Okay. So now I want to do an experiment that I did on a group of NYU freshmen just this last August. It was August of 2020, the first weird COVID full semester that we were all trying to go through. And I was asked to give an introductory lecture to a group of freshmen from all over the country that had just gotten to NYU. Some of them were at NYU, some of them were Zooming in remotely. And so I had 30 minutes with them. I gave them 10 minutes of talk. And then I said, look, let's do an experiment together. I sent them off to do an anxiety survey, a clinically relevant, a clinically justified anxiety survey. And then they came back and we did physical movement together. I didn't mention it, but I happen to be a certified physical exercise instructor. So we did that together as a surprise. I didn't tell them they were going to do this for just 10 minutes. Then I sent them back and did an anxiety survey. And you know what happened? What we found was before the exercise, the anxiety levels of those incoming freshmen in August of 2020 was close to clinically anxious. Very, very high on the anxiety schedule. Not quite clinically anxious, but very, just below that. Just 10 minutes of this workout decreased their anxiety by 15 points that put them back into the normal range. That is so important. And I bring this up, this was fall 2020, because we are facing a huge increase in our overall anxiety levels. So what I'd like to do is do that experiment with you. So I'd like you all just to write down, how are you feeling right now? Be honest. Nobody's going to look at this besides you, but try and come up with a word that describes your mood level right now. Okay. So I'll give you just 10 more seconds to do that. And then I'm going to ask you to stand up. Okay, once you've finished writing that, I ask you all to stand up. We're going to do a workout. It is call and response. All you have to do is do what I do, say what I say. It's just 3 minutes. Everybody can do it for 3 minutes. This is a form of a workout that's called Intensati. I love teaching it. It's really particularly mood boosting. So let's go. Okay. Punches. Right, left, right, left. I am strong now. You say it. I am strong now. Ladies, I am Wonder Woman strong. You say it. I am Wonder Woman strong. Guys, I am Superman strong. You. I am Superman strong. Just think it. Strong. Are you strong? Yes, I'm strong. We are strong. You move uppercuts right and left. Right, left, right, left. Here I say, I am inspired now. You say it. I am inspired now. Again, I am so inspired right now. You say it. I am so inspired right now. I am inspired now. You. I am inspired now. You move. Push it out. Use those arms. You could be doing this sitting down. It's still a great workout. Push it out. Push it out. I say, I am strong now. You say it. I am pumped up right now. You say it. I am pumped up right now. Again, I am pumped up right now. I am pumped up right now. Last time, we are pumped up right now. Your turn. We are pumped up right now. Last move. Pull it down. Right and left. Right and left. Right and left. I say we are on fire now. You say it. On fire now. We are on fire right now. You say it. We are on fire right now. Last time. We are on fire right now. We are on fire right now. Last time. Strong. I am strong now. You say it. Uppercuts. I am inspired now. You say it. Push it out. I am pumped up right now. You say it. Last move. And I am on fire now. You. Done. Okay. Barely 3 minutes. Now, go back to that piece of paper. Get a drink of water. How do you feel now? I feel energized. I feel inspired. Adding those extra words adds even more positive affect. But imagine all of those good neurochemicals, the serotonin, the dopamine that is flooding into your brain. And that is what is changing your mood. This is so powerful. And I often find that people say, yeah, there's a mood effect. Well, this is what I wanted to emphasize in this particular talk. This powerful mood effect that can take effect even after a few minutes of a workout like this is so needed, because what we have is anxiety levels going up 30%. And so exercise is an immediate intervention that you can use to address anxiety. But I want to step back for just one moment. And I don't want you to get the idea that all of anxiety is bad. Get rid of it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to experience it. Because as I started writing this new book that's coming out, Good Anxiety, I realized that, the kind of knee-jerk reaction is get anxiety. I don't want feel it at all. The reality is much more nuanced. And I feel it every single time I give a talk like this. Despite the fact that I've given talks like this all the time, I always get a little bit nervous. What if my internet goes off? What if my lighting isn't good? What if my phone rings? I get that little nervousness. I get those little butterflies. And that level of anxiety, that makes me give a great talk. And so we don't want the bad levels of anxiety to stop you or stop me from giving a good talk. But the whole book, Good Anxiety, is about leveraging the good aspects of anxiety and, in fact, embracing both the positive and the negative mood states that come with anxiety to make your life better. So I've given you one little clue, the exercise piece that can immediately lower what might be bad anxiety for you and get it into that good level so you can start to leverage the energy underlying it. Now I want to go back to the slides and go through the other transformative effects of exercise. We just got through the immediate effects of exercise. So let me share my slides again. And okay, so we finished the immediate effects of exercise, that bubble bath of neurochemicals that happen every single time you move your body, that results in immediate mood changes, immediate focus changes, immediate improvements in your reaction time. But those are not permanent. That has a half-life, but that it doesn't end there. The transformative effects of physical activity do not end there. What if you do like I did? I worked for a year and a half to lose 25 pounds. I changed my cardiorespiratory fitness. So now we're getting into the long-term effects of physical activity on the brain. These are not impermanent. These changes are changes to the brain's anatomy, physiology, and function. And I wanted to illustrate this by going through a recent study from my lab, looking at what happens if you take low-fit, healthy adults and ask them to increase their cardiorespiratory fitness. That's what we did with a wonderful spin studio here in New York City called Swerve Fitness. We had 27 people that did cognitive testing, that they were low fit and didn't exercise more than twice a week for more than 20 minutes at a time. And we asked them to start to go to these 45-minute spin classes 3 times a week for 12 weeks. Okay, so at first, maybe they couldn't do the whole class, but they went for between 2 and 3 in the end, between 2 and 3 times a week for 12 weeks. Now, this particular spin studio is great because they motivate people by having them spin and ride their bikes on teams. You join the red, the green, and the blue team. And what they're able to do is average together the average caloric output of the red team, green team, and blue team, and put it up on the leaderboard. So it's not, Wendy Suzuki, come on, you're not pedaling fast enough. It's come on, green team, you're only 2 points behind blue team. So it's a great way, this friendly competition. So we needed friendly competition in my control group. So we came up with competitive video Scrabble. Okay, not aerobic at all, but they came in and they played competitive video Scrabble against my wonderful NYU undergraduate volunteers for 3 times a week for 12 weeks. And we compared their brain function against the exercise group. So what happens? Do you get mood changes? Yes. So what we saw was a change. This is a change in baseline mood. Their baseline positive affect increased significantly in the exercise group. That's this part of the graph here relative to the control group. The other thing that changed is exercise motivation. The more you exercise, the more you're motivated to exercise, which may not get you off the couch immediately, but that idea that once you do, you will get even more motivated to exercise. And finally, their positive body attitudes significantly increased in that exercise group compared to the control group. So that immediate effect of mood boost, if taken to an extreme where you're changing your actual overall fitness level, can change your baseline mood effects. And let me just remind everybody that exercise has been shown to be as effective as some of the most commonly used antidepressants when used in major depressive disorder. So it's that powerful. It tends to take a little bit longer to kick in, but once they start exercising, you get the same antidepressant effect. So this is powerful. You are affecting those same neurotransmitter levels that you do with the most common antidepressants. That's just mood. What else do we have? Well, here is a test that is focused on the functions of the prefrontal cortex. This is a key task of attention, the Stroop task. And what we see is significant improvements in the reaction time. People get faster answering this task, which is a hard task. You have to ignore the word red here, the word blue here, and focus on the color of the letters. That's very, very difficult to do. And in this condition, in all conditions, the overall reaction time got significantly better in the exercise group compared to the control group, consistent with many other studies showing that prefrontal function has improved. And finally, the big excitement about exercise in the brain, or at least the one that I get most excited about, is not just the prefrontal cortex. This is great. This is very key finding. But studies in rodents and now confirmed, at least behaviorally, in people, suggest that exercise has a particularly important contribution and strengthening effect on the hippocampus, important for long-term memory. What is that effect? Exercise stimulates the birth of brand new brain cells in the hippocampus. It's called adult hippocampal neurogenesis. And it is something that has been studied extensively in animal studies. And the idea and the finding that new neurons can be born in humans has been confirmed in people up to their 9th decade. So very, very exciting. And so in this study, we wanted to ask, was there any evidence that the hippocampus and the hippocampal function might be improved? Well, here in our group, young, healthy, low-fit people, what we saw was a significant improvement in recognition memory on this mnemonic similarity task that was designed to be very sensitive to the part of the hippocampus where new neurons are born. So we do have evidence that increases in cardiorespiratory function in low-fit people can improve the hippocampal function of these people. We didn't prove that it was neurogenesis in general, but we have evidence that the hippocampus and surrounding structures are working better in these people. Let me just emphasize the wow here. I don't know about you, but one of the things that motivates me to get up and work out every single morning is not only that neurochemical bubble bath, but the idea that my workout is going to be stimulating many more shiny new hippocampal cells to be born in my hippocampus. I want as many hippocampal cells as possible. Hippocampus is so important for memory, and more recent evidence suggests that it's also important for imagination. I want the best memory and the best imagination I could have. And so that's what that is the motivation that comes along with these effects of long-term exercise. Last transformative effect is the protective effect of exercise on our brains as we are all aging. What is that protective effect? Well, I've already mentioned these two key brain areas that are affected with long-term exercise. What I didn't mention is that the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus are two of the areas that are most susceptible to both normal aging and neurodegenerative disease states. So what I've told you is that increases in exercise can improve the function of the prefrontal cortex. Size changes are happening here, not because of new neurons, but it looks like at least partially more myelin, more insulation are forming on the axons of these neurons. And in the hippocampus, there is evidence for hippocampal neurogenesis in terms of increasing in size of the human hippocampus with exercise. So exercise is not curing aging. It is not curing Alzheimer's disease. But what it's doing, it is making these two susceptible areas as big and fat and strong as possible to stave off those effects if you do happen to have Alzheimer's in your genetic background, as I do. So my motivation is making the biggest, fattest prefrontal cortex and hippocampus that I can to help my brain stave off both aging and Alzheimer's disease. So my science take-homes. Number one, every workout that you do, every time you move your body, including that 10-minute walk, gives your brain a bubble bath of beneficial neurochemicals. And we talked about mood effects, focus, attention effects, and reaction time effects. Number two, moving your body regularly. Those long-term studies helps your brain grow shiny new cells in your hippocampus, important for both memory and imagination. And finally, moving your body is like a shield. I call it a supercharged 401k that protects your brain from aging and neurodegenerative disease states. That is the transformative effect of exercise. And in this time where anxiety is going up, brain fog is going up, we're all getting a little bit foggy, staying in the same location for too long. One of the best antidotes that you can bring into your life and enhance in your life, if it's already there, is physical activity. And so that is my take-home message for you. It has changed my life. It has changed my research. It has changed the way I teach with bringing exercise into the classroom. And I guarantee you that increasing in exercise can bring these same changes to you. So with that, thank you for your attention. And let's go back to Ronnie.
Wendy, you Wonder Woman Superman, your passion is absolutely contagious. And I use that word very carefully, and I mean it contagious in the best possible way. Thank you. You have presented us a compelling approach to kindness, to health and well-being, which requires kindness, self-kindness, self-care, self-regulation, all achieved by applying principles of neuroscience to positively impact our brains and our bodies. And the timing of your message is extraordinary in terms of today's environment and our need for personal and societal repair. So just a few comments for me to further contextualize what you have already begun to do so elegantly and ground my questions in the challenges of today.
Yeah.
So 3 points. Weight gain. So turns out that COVID-19 turned out to be that COVID-29. Major study from the American Psychological Association recently reported the average weight gain of Americans through COVID was 29 pounds. Not surprisingly, essential workers scored very high with an average weight gain of 38 pounds. But perhaps most alarming, millennials gained an average of 41 pounds. Second, just yesterday in a major medical journal, the former head of the FDA predicted a tsunami of chronic disease affecting us potentially now for decades. And you know the list, Wendy: diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disorders. He said, and I quote, "Our national health statistics were absolutely headed in the wrong direction before the pandemic, and COVID has only caused an acceleration of these negative trends."
Yes.
And he worries that a pandemic-weary America will not make the changes needed to blunt this predicted increase in common chronic disease, death, and disability.
Yeah.
Third data point, as you described so well, we are simultaneously experiencing a mental health pandemic with reports of skyrocketing rates of stress, anxiety, depression. So let's unpack all of this to better understand your work within this very disturbing context. So Wendy, can we first talk a little bit about change and the process of change itself?
Yeah.
We all know change is difficult, and to some extent, people already have a general sense of what they should be doing to live happier, healthier lives.
Right.
Why is it so difficult to integrate new knowledge into behavior? And what are the common obstacles to implementation of the kinds of changes you advise?
Yeah, well, I'm all too familiar with that. There are so many people that have the best intentions. They know this is good. They know they should do it, but it just gets too hard. And this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. I want to flip this to why can't you do it, to what makes people do it. And what is the biggest flip that saw the biggest change in my experiments? My experiments are, please come do my exercise experiment for me. And the answer is, you have to start small. And, come to a 45-minute spin class. Oh my God, I might go once, but I'm never going again. Let's start with 5 minutes. Start with a 5-minute chair yoga. I don't have to change. I may not break a sweat, but you start to build a tiny habit of moving a little bit more, even engaging your abs to sit up straight. That's actually exhausting, just that alone. And so what I have found to be the most effective to start to move that needle is smallness of starting point, and engagement. Don't obviously don't go with a teacher or an instructor that you don't like. And that's the thing that I see that's so exciting, that the fitness industry has expanded and taken advantage of all of their at-home watchers during COVID. And boy, they've gotten really good at short little video intervals, at more engagement through Zoom. And I'm not saying that is that's going to be magical, and it's going to be as easy to do that as it is to eat that next bar of chocolate. But small is good, and small is fine. Starting with walking. That's why I emphasized a 10-minute walk can start to get you those brain changes that I was talking about.
Well, it's interesting, a couple of responses to that. Absolutely. I'm thinking now about the massive project that Apple has taken on in terms of Apple Exercise. And I don't know that even a year ago, we would have had 10-minute workouts on Apple Exercise, in addition to the 20, 30, and 60-minute workouts. So absolutely, and your comments about starting small are very reminiscent of Professor Fogg's extensive writings on tiny habits.
Tiny habits, exactly. Big fan of that. That's exactly hitting it on the head. We've got to start small and build up. And the story that I love to tell is that, you can take advantage of all of this online stuff. And the best way that I took advantage is not only signing up for all the free 6 months and free 3 months that you could get with great programs, but at least at the beginning of the pandemic, there were all these celebrities that were doing live Instagram workouts. So I worked out live with Venus Williams and her mother in their backyard using Prosecco bottles as my weights. And, it was easy. It wasn't a, tennis champion workout. It was a workout that her mother could do with her. So I love that. I don't know if I would have ever been able to do that if I wasn't at home looking for a way to, expand my own exercise regimen.
And I've got to echo that when Jane Fonda pulled out her old tights, and they still fit very well. Wendy, to what extent do you believe that understanding more about the mechanisms of the science actually can help drive behavioral change? For instance, we know that how we breathe can affect the autonomic nervous system, creating either more calm or more alertness, even to the point of agitation. Mm-hmm. How do you think the understanding of mechanisms may, in fact, help?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that it is a powerful tool to let people see, both see and understand better what's going on. So one of the big black boxes that I wasn't even able to mention in this short talk was, what is the signal that is going from my muscle to my brain? There has to be some signal there that is, shifting all of these transformative things that I talked about. And there are signals coming from the muscle, coming from the liver, coming from even our fat cells that go through the bloodstream, pass into the blood-brain barrier, and start to affect the brain in certain ways. But the thing that I think, even more than that, people, I get excited about that, but I'm a science nerd. What will help people really want to do this and get motivated to do this? And actually, I've thought deeply about this because I've created a platform that allows people to actually monitor the effects of a particular workout on a range of mood and cognitive things, not as a study, but my brain. How did my brain respond to that Venus Williams Prosecco bottle workout? And how does it differ from the 45-minute walk that I took with my friends outside with my mask on a hot day? And so what I found is that people get really motivated. It's like, oh my gosh, look, my anxiety went down by 20% by that workout. And that wasn't even a very hard workout. And the harder workout had a different kind of overall effect on my mood and focus. So we are developing that technology to do just that, to bring more individualized information, but motivating information to people so they can, they don't have to, I remember getting so frustrated. It's like, okay, when am I going to lose this 25 pounds? It's been a whole week and I've been working really hard and nothing has changed. Well, that's the carrot that comes with exercise. After every workout, you can get clearly, clinically demonstrable changes. And so that's what we're trying to work with.
Well, and as you describe that carrot, I think about the dopamine provided by that carrot. Yes. If you are kind enough to give it to yourself. That is, dopamine is also the molecule, we tend to think of it as the molecule of reward, but it's also the molecule of motivation.
Yes.
And if you can be kind to yourself and give yourself the proverbial pat on the back, yes, when you do that 5 minutes, then the carrot's a little closer.
Yes. And, so important.
In your new book, Wendy, Harnessing the Power of the Most Misunderstood Emotion, you talk about good anxiety, as you've referenced with us, but also bad anxiety. Can you clarify the difference?
Sure. So bad anxiety. So to be clear, this book focuses on everyday anxiety. This is not a book for the clinically anxious that need hospitalization and maybe pharmacological treatment, but it's estimated that 90% of the population have experience of anxiety. That's who I wrote the book for. And by the way, I wrote this, we finished the book before the pandemic, and then, rejiggered it to address, the things that were going on. So when I say bad anxiety, I don't mean, PTSD, you have general anxiety disorder. I mean the anxiety that is distressing for you. We describe it as a bad smell that that's what is that? Oh, what is that bad smell? That's my bad anxiety that's keeping me from answering, from asking the question in the meeting, from speaking out, from doing that adventure or that adventure because I'm, going out of the house even because I'm worried. It's a very colloquially defined term of bad anxiety. Any anxiety you want to get rid of is bad anxiety. And we tell you how to flip it to good anxiety. But what I wanted to go over, because you kind of spontaneously were talking about kindness when we first started this interview. So I think the secret sauce of this book is not just how to flip bad anxiety, uncomfortable anxiety that you feel is holding you back, to useful anxiety, the useful anxiety that I feel right before a talk that makes me give an energetic talk. That's good anxiety. But the secret sauce of this book is that in the last third of the book, we talk about how you can leverage your good anxiety into superpowers. And one of those superpowers is a superpower of compassion. It's like, what? How do how does compassion come out of anxiety? And I'll tell you, I realized I was already doing this essentially all of my life. So everybody has their own special kind of anxiety, even though there's common ones. And you are so familiar with that all those things that make you feel bad and make you feel anxious. Let's say, for example, when I was much younger in high school and middle school, I was very, very shy. And I had so much to say, but I was just so shy I couldn't say it. And I find myself as a teacher spending so much time trying to engage the students that don't talk, because I know very well what they might be feeling. They might be the same shy student that I was. So when I'm talking about a superpower of compassion, what I'm talking about is using your own understanding of your own special form of anxiety to turn it around and be compassionate to those people that might be experiencing the same thing. And I love this this idea, because in my mind, it's exactly what the whole world needs right now. We need more compassion. We need more understanding for the difficulties that we're all going through. And so that's just a little flavor of how you can leverage your good anxiety into a superpower, in this case, of compassion.
And in fact, Wendy, your personal sharing is an act of compassion, and thank you for that. So I'm going to press you on the personal. What catalyzed your shift in professional focus from exercise to mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I see my career going in parallel. I haven't shifted from exercise to mental health. Exercise was clearly having a huge effect on mental health, and anxiety became actually before COVID. It was still a major issue, and just decided that was the best topic for the next book. I certainly have not given up exercise by any means, but it became a real fascination when I realized how anxious I was, and all the maybe even unconscious ways that I was dealing with my own anxiety. And if you want a personal story, I will tell you the personal story that transformed this book. This book was called Good Anxiety, Bad Anxiety. And it was just the flip from bad anxiety to good anxiety. But it became the book that it is because I experienced something just terrible, a terrible event in my life. Within 3 months of each other, my father, who had Alzheimer's dementia, and my 50-year-old younger brother both died of heart attacks. Both unexpected. My father was less unexpected, but my younger brother was just devastating. And this was not anxiety, but it was grief and all the terrible emotions that you go through when you lose somebody so close to you. And what I started to realize is that there was a wisdom and a knowledge that came out of going through that terrible emotional roller coaster that my family and I went through. And this happened literally on the day that I was about to jump in and write chapter 1, sentence 1 of the Good Anxiety book, after the proposal got approved. And it really transformed from good anxiety, bad anxiety into a leveraging of something that is so much more important. So my anxiety wasn't as emotionally terrible as the loss of my family members, but that negative emotion is so educational And that's what I realized. That's what I ended up writing about in this book.
I pause only because that's a powerful story, and very gracefully earlier in describing the book, you made the distinction between kind of everyday anxiety, be it good or bad, and something that is, I'm speaking now as a psychiatrist, that is a more clinical syndrome that demands a different kind of intervention in addition. And it actually reminds me, and I will share this with you, my first very mini grant during my time at the University of Washington in the Division of Sports Medicine. And this was brand new. We examined the effects of aerobic activity, and you describe this as a modality of treatment for depression.
Yes.
But what we found was that depression radically impaired the students' efforts to be physically active. It was kind of a catch-22. They were too depressed to run, and in fact, they were too depressed to be run. I in preparing and thinking about your visit today, I located a study a couple years old now, that a major scientific review article that looked at 168 articles examining the influence of stress on physical activity and exercise. And overall, the majority did find that the experience of stress impairs efforts to be physically active. And while you have partially addressed this already, I think it bears your repeating to our audience. What is your advice to people who say they are too stressed or too anxious to exercise? And can you speculate as to some of the neurobiologic mechanisms that underlie the negative influence of stress on physical activity?
So my response to that is that I think your point is very well taken. Yes, you can be too depressed to be able to take advantage of this potential modality of way to change your neurochemistry. But the other thing that I've come to realize much more recently is that most anybody can walk for 10 minutes. If you want to get somebody on a treadmill and get them sweating, and that's a different story. Walking, particularly walking outside for 10 minutes, is a modality that has been shown now. We just reviewed it in my lab meeting a week ago to show significant decreases in anxiety levels. These were not severely depressed people that were being studied right now, but we're starting to appreciate that there's smaller and smaller episodes of movement that can change mood levels. And so I think it would be interesting to go back with that new knowledge and look at these clinical populations and ask, maybe we don't need to get them to run. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's more a doable thing. Now, it's not going to get you all the effects. For example, the hippocampal effects seem to be dependent on aerobic activity that gets your heart rate up. But that could be age dependent because there's studies that show that dementia levels in older people that have already diagnosed with dementia can be improved, that the dementia scores go down with just regular walking, but these are 70-year-olds. So there's still a lot of questions, but to answer your first question, I think the shortness of some of these effects in normal people that are showing, that is non-depressed people, that are showing benefits for mood, I think is very, very promising and an interesting direction to go towards.
Precision medicine, personalized medicine, been coming for a long time, still coming. And I say that still with excitement and anticipation. Genetics are a profound factor in precision medicine. Epigenetics, how we turn our genes on and off through our environment, through our lifestyle practices. Epigenetics provides a new kind of agency over our health. And in that way of thinking, exercise is a profoundly important epigenetic intervention. Now, likewise, as you know, nutrition is another, which is synergistically related to exercise and positive health outcomes. I was thinking earlier of that phrase, abs are made in the kitchen. Wendy, in your work, how and when do you address, you work with people and you're a humanist and you are compassionate. When do you and how do you address nutrition, sleep, and some of these other primary epigenetic pillars as part of a kind of whole systems approach to brain health?
Yeah, that's a great question. So absolutely, they are so fundamental, so critical. In my research, a good research study is a directed, clearly defined research study, as you know very well. And it's hard to say, okay, we're going to change your exercise, we're going to change your sleep, and we're going to change what you eat. So, okay, are you in? And so my approach has been to speak about the importance of sleep and nutrition and meditation and exercise, but to focus the studies in a way that can be done, that is one thing at a time, trying to be clear and controlled about it, but certainly appreciating all the beautiful work that has been done and knowing that they are so importantly interconnected. You can't ignore these other forms of enrichment in your life.
And Wendy, clearly, I absolutely get it. The elegance and the purity of science requires that we not cloud variables. On the other hand, the danger of science is its potential to remain a kind of ivory tower, out of touch with the reality, the messiness of real life. And you do a wonderful job of being messy, and yet maintaining your integrity as a scientist. And well, thank you. And Wendy, sadly, our time, we have to finish. The importance of your work and its timeliness absolutely cannot be overstated. The challenge we have, again, is how we can leverage you as a kind of force multiplier, if you will, Wonder Woman, Superman, for positive change. You have eloquently distilled complex science into understandable and actionable terms for our audience. We're going to have to put up not only a video of the session, but of you doing some a more extended program of intense study for our group that people can opt for in our menu. Wendy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie. It's been a pleasure.
And to our loyal global audience, we invite you to visit aspenbraininstitute.org for more information about Dr. Wendy Suzuki, including upcoming release of her new book, further references to her important work, as well as all ABI recordings, summaries, resources, and scheduled upcoming events. Thank you all, and see you soon.